today. Microphone check. Can you guys hear me? Let me know if you can hear me. Yesterday, that was chaos. Thank you. I appreciate it. Mod says I can hear you. I'm sorry. I really don't want to have this like in the way. There we go. There we go. All right, so let me tell you what I was talking about. I am going to be reading to you guys something from the Shade Room also in just a few. So when you get that Shade Room thing that I'm going to say, it is a quote. And interesting fun fact about something else that the Shade Room put up today that has absolutely nothing to do with the Diddy trial, but it does have to do with the destruction of your internal organs. The Shade Room put an article up about Popeyes, and I highly suggest everyone goes and reads that article. Put up about maybe 14 hours ago or so. Yeah, so if you love Popeyes, especially on Tuesday, yeah, I highly suggest. I was over there trying to read the article about Diddy and ended up seeing that Popeyes article, and I highly suggest that if you're still eating Popeyes, yeah, that's awful to hear about, and I suggest that you guys go check that out. But anyway, that's the topic for the start of our afternoon. Today we're talking the Diddy trial, and this will be short unless you guys make it long. I really can't see a lot. I'm having some. You know what? I'll just move it. I heard that this can move. Perfection. All right, because it was in the way. All right, so I'll look at that over on that side. All right. Thanks for coming by. Everybody ready? Let's see. You guys tap the screen to absolutely nothing but three. All right, thank you so much for doing that. I'm so attentive to my page. You guys support it so good. Thank you so much for that, for tapping the screen to absolutely nothing. But if you will, tap the screen. I highly appreciate you. I hope that you can hear me okay. For those who can hear me. And let's get into the notes. So here's what I have today, and I'm going to go through the notes if you have any questions. I'm going to talk mistrial updates kind of thing. I'm going to talk about Jane, some OnlyFans topic. I am also going to talk about KK and the stand and her coming to the stand and all the updates on that also. And for those who will say who's KK, you will find out in just a few. If you are unfamiliar with, we are talking the Sean P. Diddy Combs trial. So as we get into day 2 of week 5, here's a reminder of this, okay? This is week 5 of the federal criminal trial of Sean P. Diddy Combs, business mogul, producer, and so many other things to the culture, right? One of the very obvious last night on Culture's biggest night that Diddy was not there, right? Which, you know, in many moments, especially the way that the 2000s was represented last night, you would have thought, wow, you know, but the 2000s was really the topic. No Sean P. Diddy Combs because Sean P. Diddy Combs is not, you know, available. He was not available to come to BET Awards last night. Combs is facing a racketeering charge and 2 counts of sex trafficking. Additionally, he's facing 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. If convicted, the 55-year-old business and music mogul culture icon could spend up to 15 years or even life in prison if convicted of the things that he's being accused of. All right. So the update I have for you guys, Judge Subramanian. He says this morning, I'm ruling that the government, the prosecution, for those who say AUSA, who's that? That's the prosecution, right? He says, I'm ruling that they cannot recall Dr. Hughes. And that's a huge, you know, kind of win for an innocence. Take the little small victories for the defense right now. You know, that's what the defense looks at and says, okay, that's a victory for us. Prosecutions had their victories throughout this trial, and then you know you have the moments when defense does. That moment is a defense, you know, victory. He says they cannot recall Dr. Hughes for more testimony. That's a no from the judge. Despite the Second Circuit decision in U.S. versus Larry Ray book on Sarah Lawrence college SMEX cult case, which is what they were referencing, you know, pulling another case to kind of reference their reason and for wanting to bring Dr. Hughes back. And the judge goes, nope, that wasn't, you know, relevant and we're moving past, you know, moving on. Right. Also, prosecution Mr. Steele also moved for a mistrial. That's what prosecution says. And then judge says, well, he said that he was going to move, talking about Brian Steele asking for that mistrial on Saturday that we talked about yesterday, right? The defense then says, we object to number 6 being stricken. And that's juror number 6 being stricken. It's under seal, but, and then they kind of paused and had this kind of off record conversation. And again, I think that is being reported back as juror six, conversation and everything being pulled into the judge's chambers to kind of lay that all out, and the alternate and being as a replacement and things like that. All right. The judge then says everyone will be heard. Okay. Now here's where that all stands when it comes to the mistrial, the juror number six, all those kind of things. We're expecting a decision from the judge on the mistrial request from the defense, okay? We are expecting a decision from the judge probably sometime this week. However, look at it this way: the cross examination and the other direct examination of any other possible additional witnesses from the prosecution, this will all continue while the judge is making his decision about mistrial. So, work must continue for all those involved. So, as you're like, oh, we woke up today, no mistrial. No, it doesn't mean no mistrial. It just simply means that there's work to be done. They have to continue to work at the schedule that they're working on. And while they're working on that schedule, the judge is still sitting in his mind, looking at things, doing his due diligence and notes and saying, okay, I may come back by tomorrow, which is Wednesday. I may come tomorrow and say, hey, I got it. This is what's going to happen. And here's my mistrial decision. Or he may decide, you know what? I'm not even coming back to say anything to you guys until maybe Friday or Monday. He can, it's his court. He can do exactly whatever he feels. And he can make that mistrial decision, yay and nay, whenever he so feels. That's just how it goes. That's just, we're at his house and we're just a guest. In there, nosy AF, okay? You know how we are with this trial. We're nosy AF when it comes to this trial. Listen, I made these rings. This is so off topic. I made these rings and I made them. Uh, this particular set I made about 4 weeks ago, and I have to get a smaller set if I want to continue to wear them because they're getting, smaller. And my whole journey that has nothing to do with. Yeah, that was a Virgo moment. It's just because it keeps flying at the screen and it made me notice that it's loosening up. All right, small weight loss victory has nothing to do with that. You guys could care less. So let me move on back to what you came for. All right, so that's that on Judge in his house and what he wants to do and how he decides whether or not he wants to continue to be a guest for the next few weeks. All right. The defense did proceed on with the cross of Jane. Okay. So Tina Garagos Teeny Garagos, daughter of Mark Garagos, Pregger's daughter of Mark Garagos. Congratulations to Teeny Garagos. She sits down with Jane and begins to have this conversation with Jane. And she's like, Jane, we met before. And I'm like, that kind of took me aback when I read that part because I was like, oh, wait a minute, what's going on? So she says, we met before. She said, you stopped meeting with us, the defense, as we were preparing, everyone was preparing to get ready for this trial. Jane, you were meeting with us first, and then all of a sudden you switched sides, and then you started meeting with the prosecution. That's kind of what she's saying in that delivery, right? And she said, Jane, was that your choice? Is that you, or did you personally decide that that's what you would do? Flip from talking to for the defense in favor of Sean P. Diddy Combs, which is your start. In the beginning, you were talking and to the defense and having conversations, and then you switched it up. It's important that she point. Thank you, my love. Honey says I care. It's important that that's pointed out because the jury needs to kind of know that, and that was a really slick way to get that into the jury, right? So, you stopped meeting with the defense. Was that your choice? And Jane says, correct, that was my choice. So, Garagos continues on with some additional other talk, and then she goes, why did you join OnlyFans? I told y'all yesterday, Jane was working my failure to be raised properly nerves in these carrying on streets, okay, in these demon time streets. She's been working my nerves, but she was asked, Garrett goes to ask her, a defense cross, why did you join OnlyFans? And Jane says this. Any of you out there slutting in them comment streets, chat, do some of y'all that are on, I'm not, no, you might just be cooking like Kaya and oh, you might there slutting in them comment streets, chat, do some of y'all that are on, I'm not, no, you might just be cooking like Kaya and oh, you might be innocent. Whatever you're doing on OnlyFans, you might be just showing your nails. I don't know. Let me not use no derogatories on you, okay? But any of y'all carrying on in them OnlyFans streets and on that demon time, do y'all ever have trouble getting rid of those accounts? Like when you finally meet Mr. Right, which is the reason why you're laying low, spreading wide on the OnlyFans anyway. Do y'all ever like have trouble deleting the account? Because according to the witness, she said this: if I could get off of it, I would, right? But she says it's a financial need. So you guys basically you get is it easy money like kind of how the street story, right? thinking of the BMF story, right? Like this is really easy money, and they go out there and they do what they do. Just thinking of the BMF series with that, like, hey, this is easy money. I can go in there, I can get it. It's easier for me to lay low, spread wide, get what I can get. So I can't get off of OnlyFans because of my dependency of it. This is also a person who Sean P. Diddy Combs has paid the $10,000 rent up until this month. So I don't understand what the financial need is, and we're going to find out even a bigger dollar sign in just a moment, right? So Geragos continues and says, "Well, Mr. Combs gave you money throughout the relationship." So Geragos says, "In 3.5 years, does $150,000 sound about right to you?" And Jane says, "I would assume." Girl, you all up in Diddy bank account, and you're not like Young Miami, like clocking them coins one by one, dollar by dollar, knowing everything that he gave you. Like you literally is like, oh, I don't know. He gave me 50,000 here, 30,000 there, 2,000 for one side of my breast, and another 30,000 for the other side. Like I don't know. Like you're not keeping up with the dollar signs, you know. So this is seeming very familiar behavior from Jane, right? So, so the defense is asking her, like, does 150,000 sound about right about what my client gave you in that 3.5 years of a connection with him? Um, so let's just pause for a moment. Let me ask the chat this if you want to participate. Let me read an article for you. But what do you guys think about Jane being a person active on OnlyFans prior to possibly? Sounding very comfortable with it being a lifestyle that this is what she does to make her money. So OnlyFans prior to, during, and after, while he's locked up, kind of lifestyle with Sean P. Diddy Combs. So is is this a person that a man who's locked up is making her continue to do this? Or is this an individual that this is just her lifestyle? This is what she does, and she crossed ways and crossed paths with Sean P. Diddy Combs in living that particular lifestyle by way of maybe being a favor called in the middle of a late night hotel desire. I don't know. From the mogul, who knows? It's a personal lifestyle, right? So, what do you guys think about that with Jane and her OnlyFans activity? Let me know what you think. If I miss comments, I did see yesterday that I did miss comments, and I'm repeat them if you feel like I missed your comment and you want me to share. Okay, if you will do that for me. Thank you so much for the mod for that. We do appreciate you guys joining. All right, and then I wanted to read a little section for you for a moment. Let me know if you can still hear me. I wanted to read for you an article section from the Shade Room, kind of gossip magazine style, digital style platform that's owned by, I think it has a Nigerian owner, and just kind of puts all the shade happening in the United States out with the stars all the time, right? So the Shade Room is where I'm reading from, and I'm quoting it from a article that was typed maybe, I guess, maybe 15 hours ago or so. It says, it has been noted that Jane has been quite emotional while sharing her testimony on the stand. So far, she has recalled a um 12 to 24-hour hotel scene. I'm trying to clean it up with Diddy. That was a paraphrase there. Being financial, and she's also recalled being financially dependent on the mogul. She's testifying about experiencing ailing sexual health, that her health is failing in a sexual kind of way. I don't, the kind of things that come with that. I will just appropriately label it probably under STIs if she uses the word sexual health is failing. And being jealous of his affection for other women, right? So it's clear almost at this point that Jane has a lifestyle prior to, during, after Diddy, possibly. It's extremely likely, right? So is Sean P. Diddy Combs to blame, chat, for all of her things that she's experiencing, especially the sexual decline and things like that she feels that he owes her? Does he need life in prison just based on what Jane is bringing in her testimony? Do you see life in prison for what he's done to Jane? I don't even think in her testimony have we heard about similar incidents as like what happened to Cassie. I don't think that's been delivered. I don't line for line that transcript, because I like to highlight points that I'm making for the show. But let me know. It seems like what I hear in the testimony, especially with the whole upset, over Young Miami and kind of things like that. I just kind of hear jealousy and anger in this testimony. I just don't hear Rico. I just hear an angry girlfriend kind of thing going on. So I don't know if you guys agree with me or not on that. 2000, thank you for coming by. 1.5K on the likes. Thank you so much. Huge work right there. Thank you for stopping by and doing that. And 123 lingering in the room is great stuff as well. I appreciate you. Um, so when it comes to messages between Jane and KK, and this is when I'm going to bring up, KK coming to the stand. So some messages were brought up between Jane and KK, and Garagos is like KK. And so for those who don't know, Christina Coram, not the other KK. I almost said her name, but that's not fair to throw her in here. And I don't want her to come for me. She has some credentials to come for me now. I don't want her to come for me, so I won't do that. But did Christina Coram, so did KK fly on a Sean P. Diddy Combs private jet was a question. And Jane says KK didn't like her. She talks about how Christina Coram didn't like her. Her quote is, "I believe she had strong opinions about me, and it contributed to how Diddy treated me." So KK is, I guess, a very influential type of person. Brent says, "I want to understand how someone with the freedom to go and come as they please feel forced." Mick says, and like a heart sign, like you agree. It's like you're talking about a person who's go they even leave and take international flights and things like and have events and things like that. So um I just don't understand how he's able to make everybody do the things that he says. He's maybe I don't know. I haven't been able to figure out his power. How he has that superpower that they say, right? Um, I'm not sure about that either. That's a really good point made, though, Brent. I don't know. I don't know. I wanted to come in here and actually highlight that, right? All right. So, I can't. Can you repeat that last comment because I can't see it? I just seen what you guys were talking about on this chat. Yeah, some parts of it definitely fades away on you. That's a real thing. All right. So that is interesting. So then we see Christina Kerm. We're going to talk about her again in a minute, and you're going to see why this is KK to the stand conversation is up, right? Um, so when it comes to she's her talking about Christina Quorum, I will go ahead and just say this part. I'll just go. We're not going to wait for the KK thing. I'm just going to tell you the government is likely going to subpoena KK at some point. The defense on Jane and Diddy's love life, the witnesses, all these, just Jane and Diddy's love life, Mia Diddy's love life, Cassie and Diddy's love life, different witnesses, and even the security at the hotel with who brought in the brown bag of money, who called them on FaceTime, who was involved, KK, just constantly. So at some point, either prosecution or either defense will call KK to the stand. Maybe KK is holding right or unalive with Diddy, and maybe she's just going to just hang out in the Diddy defense streets and testify on behalf of Sean P. Diddy Combs. So, um, let's see. Oh, here's something really good that came up, but okay, I'll get to that in a minute. So, Janie Diddy's love life because the witnesses have in common the volunteer participation. Plus, they seem to be addicted to the perks of the life with Diddy. So, do you guys feel that Sean P. Diddy Combs' witnesses, girlfriends, people that have been intimate with him with their testimony, do you feel that they seem to be really loving the good life? You can have whatever you like. Like, are they just that type? And is that really a lot more to do with the testimony when that gets snatched away from him? Imagine 3.5 years, 150,000, 3.5 years, $150,000. Um, and then you have the rent being paid. So basically, in the 3.5 years of connecting, you came across $170,000 just with testimony that's been thrown out there, right? So is that something that's hard to give away for this temporary lover guy, right? Let's get into law and crime. Have the reporter Elizabeth Miller. We like to Milner. We like to go in there and take a look at what she has to say. It is her birthday, so happy birthday to her. We like to go in and take a look at that report when we come to um, yeah, right. We like to go in there and take a look as to what's happening with her report when she sees things in the courtroom. So here's what she says, right? She says that Mother Combs was there today. Mm, Sorry about that, you guys. Did I mention that I was off a podcast at 3 in the morning and back up at 8 o'clock in the morning and now on here and then have a major interview in 2 more hours as well? Okay, but I'm not tired. Who's tired? You're tired. You're tired looking at me. Okay. All right. So the jurors sorry. So in the courtroom today, when it comes to who appeared, Mother Combs, Keisha, the sister of Sean P. Diddy Combs, is there. Janice Combs is the mother of Sean P. Diddy Combs. And why is it that you guys are out there saying that Mommy Combs is not Mommy Combs? Like there is a big rumor out there on YouTube about Mommy Combs being the auntie, and that somehow Mommy, the real mom, the real mother, is no longer anywhere around, and that Mommy is an auntie. And why y'all out there talking like? Y'all have me run across y'all YouTube and y'all just like, where did y'all get that tea from, right? All right. Justin, Christian, the sons, and Dana Tran, mother of love, are there. You guys, I only have like 1.5 more minutes. Let me run through this. So, her report today, Elizabeth inside the courtroom basically said this: Diddy allegedly watching the coverage of the trial on all platforms. Interesting. We see him with his glasses on. As far as the courtroom, Jane is drawing, Jane Rosenberg drawing, seeing glasses on. There was talk about the juries being removed. Jurors being removed about jury number 6. It started yesterday. That conversation actually is under seal, she says. Jury number 6 is a possible issue, not clear on what that issue is. Jurors and an alternate. Court tomorrow is expected to start late so that they can go over all that, in addition to the judge saying what he's going to say in regard to mistrial, possibly. Government is expected to respond to juror number 6, things going on and their concerns in that time frame as well. No one, those reports about someone being seen kicked out, as far as a juror being kicked out, that has not happened. The atmosphere in the courtroom, she says, Teeny and Jane exchange in like tone of best friends catching up, nothing aggressive like what we saw with Brian Steele and what we saw with Mia or Nicole when she was doing Brana, not at Brana, Brianna, nothing like that is going on. Okay. She says, oh, I was pointing out Jane Rosenberg did the eyeglasses kind of thing on Diddy, so he's just really being a student of and paying attention very well. So that's very good for him. Actions not getting in trouble with the judge. Okay. Um, Teeny's reaction to her. Now, there's a moment when you guys have been trying to guess who you think Jane is, and I think that there was a really tense moment in regard to her identity being concerned from Jane when she checked Teeny. She checked her on the stand. She checked the defense because Jane told her, "Look, don't call my child a son." She's like, "Don't say that when you are addressing my child and you ask me about my child. I need you to say my child, not my son." And she says the reason why is, yeah, of course, if you keep on trying to say my son, then you're kind of confirming those rumors about who we think she is. If y'all don't know that, T, get on YouTube. They got it. All right. So Jane took offense to that gender of her child being outed. And, what do you guys think that the reason is Jane doesn't want the gender of her child to be said? We already went with why, but, um, you guys can answer in the chat. And then I have like 1 more minute. So the prosecution resting is not clear right now, but the witness list is sealed, so we don't really know who's coming next. I know everybody says D-Rock coming, is KK coming. We are, who's coming next for the prosecution? Are they about to rest? We really don't know. We have to continue to follow it closely. This is just one of those type of trials. Things are sealed. There's an assumption that Christina Coram will testify for the prosecution. However, she could testify for the defense, so it's just really not confirmed. And as far as Cassie text to KK, when she said, I heard this just happened to Bana, and she had text that to KK, that is a real part of that mistrial decision that the judge will be taking a look at. So that's the update on the Sean P. Diddy Combs trial as of today. Tomorrow, you guys know I'll come and I'll have the same 30 to 45 minute type update for you. And we will continue this conversation as we just break down everything that's happening with the very well covered across all media and content creating platforms. Trial of Sean P. Diddy Combs that started on May 5th. It's supposed to be an 8-week trial, but could wrap up sooner if a judge makes a decision to go with the mistrial, honoring the mistrial request that was put in by the defense, Brian Steele, on Saturday. So we shall see how all those things go. Thank you so much for coming by. 3,000, that's really good. I appreciate you. Does anybody have anything that they want to share, say, or do? If you do, this is your moment to do so. Follow the host. I come with these updates during trial days, Monday through Friday. I am here at this time frame. You can usually get an update, don't you? You guys in the stories, you didn't get that today. My bad. But it will be available in full recap and replay on my YouTube. So YouTube link in bio. Please do follow the host to be able to continue to get updates. All you have to do is subscribe on YouTube and turn on that notification bell to be kind of the first. I have a major interview coming up, so stay tuned to my YouTube. Turn on the notification bell so you can get that update in a couple more hours when I do an interview with a media founder of a media company, and it's going to be really great. I don't want to give anything away. Just want to have this great conversation, and I want you guys to go subscribe, turn on the notification on YouTube so that you will know when that interview starts if you're free to take a listen. Um, yeah, that's it. I won't talk LA. I won't talk the other cities and all those kind of things because it switches the conversation often. And that's all that I have today. Thanks, you guys, for coming by. I appreciate you. Thank you for Reborn for the mod, for the support in the chat. And that's all that I have today. Thanks, you guys, for coming by. I appreciate you. Thank you for Reborn for the mod, for the support in the chat. Thank you guys for tapping. Thank you for your daily heart meets. I appreciate